जी बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम एंड अस्सलाम वालेकुम टू एवरीबॉडी। आज हम वेलकम कर रहे हैं अपने फायरसाइड चैट ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ नून इंटरनेशनल यूनिवर्सिटी हमारे गेस्ट फॉर टुडे डॉक्टर सुहेल नकवी। डॉक्टर साहब अस्सलाम वालेकुम।
वालेकुम सलाम।
हाउ आर यू डूइंग? ठीक ठाक हैं?
First class, doing good.
Thank you for
Good to be here.
joining us, Dr. Saab, and taking out time for your from your busy schedule for our guests today. Dr. Saab is joining us from Tajikistan this afternoon, and we will formally do the introduction. But in our usual flow, जिस तरह से हमारी chat चलती है, मैं admin team को pass over करूँगा for a brief introduction of New International University, and then we'll be right back to introduce our guest formally.
Just a small correction. I'm joining from Kyrgyzstan at this time.
Kyrgyzstan. My apologies. I must correct that. Joining from Kyrgyzstan. Thank you, Dr. Saab, for that correction. Noted. So over to the admin team for a quick intro video, and then we'll be back for a formal introduction of Dr. Nakhvi. Great, thank you, admin team, and welcome back. Assalamu alaikum again. So, without further ado, जी मैं तारुफ करवाता हूँ डॉक्टर नकवी का. Professor Dr. Suhail Nakhvi is the rector of University of Central Asia in Kyrgyzstan, as was just corrected. He earned his BSc with highest distinction, MSc and PhD degrees, all in electrical engineering from Purdue University in the US. Also happens to be my undergraduate alma mater, so go Boilers. He served as an assistant and associate professor of electrical engineering at the University of New Mexico in Albuquerque, USA, before returning to Pakistan in 1995 to join the Faculty of Electronics at the GIK Institute of Technology. Prior to joining UCA in August 2018, Dr. Nakhvi served as the Vice Chancellor of the Lahore University of Management Sciences, also of course known as LUMS, for 5 years, where he spearheaded the transition of this prestigious institution into the top-ranked research universities of the country. The QS rating of Asian University ranking of LUMS increased from the 191 to 200 range in 2014 to 103 in 2018, mashallah. Dr. Nakhvi also has led the establishment of the LUMS Center for Entrepreneurship that has become the premier hub of innovation in the country, following the establishment of the National Incubation Center, NIC, in Lahore. Prior to LUMS, he was the executive director of the Higher Education Commission, HEC, here in Pakistan for 8 years. He oversaw the implementation of an ambitious portfolio of programs, which resulted in significant growth of research in Pakistan's universities, the quadrupling of student enrollment, standardization of programs at the undergraduate, postgraduate levels with clear quality-related benchmarks, along with the implementation of a comprehensive higher education quality assurance regime. Dr. Nakhvi has extensive teaching, research, and entrepreneurial experience both in the US and in Pakistan, and has also been a consultant on higher education for the Asian Development Bank, ADB, and of course the World Bank. What a fantastic profile, Dr. Nakhvi, and once again, thank you so much for joining us and for taking out the time to address our students. So typically, जी हमारे ये session जो है students भी देख रहे होते हैं. Of course, our faculty is on board as well as potential prospective students and our alumni who have recently graduated from New International University. डॉक्टर साहब थोड़ा सा अपने बारे में अपना 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 बैकग्राउंड थोड़ा सा बताइए, मे बी दैट मे हैव बीन मिस्ड आउट इन द प्रोफाइल, और थोड़ा सा प्रोफेशनल जर्नी अपना बताइए, एंड देन इंशाल्लाह विल ट्रांजिशन टू आवर रियल टॉपिक फॉर टुडे, व्हिच इज a high-tech future for Pakistan, with again a particular perspective from the higher education standpoint, माशाल्लाह, जिसमें आपका इतना एक्सपीरियंस है, तो अगर हम उस पर elaborate करेंगे, maybe you can fill in the blanks of some of the professional journey that brings you to where you are today. Over to you.
Well, I guess well, thank you for that very elaborate introduction, and इसके अंदर probably जो जर्नी मिस हुई है वो शुरू की है कि I belong to, well, I guess I was born in Wa, and then I ended up in Lahore very early on. और Lahore में I'm a product of the divisional public school, and then went to Cadet College Hassan Abdal in 1974. So really the academic formation was at Hassan Abdal. Very proud to be a part of that institution. And वहाँ से जब मैंने graduate किया, so this was 79. Of course, हमारे exams delay हो गए because that was not a good year for Pakistan. All the transitions happening, and the transition to martial law at that time. तो उसकी वजह से फिर वो मिस हो गई fall semester में join करना. So then I was roaming around because at that time my father had shifted to Europe. So I decided to learn Spanish. In fact, my father suggested learn a language. So my sister and I went to Spain. We learned a language, and then I joined Purdue actually in the winter semester of 81. So this is January 81. And जो आपके लोग Purdue से ना आशना है उनको उनकी winter का पता होना चाहिए कि this is a serious winter. And I landed in that small plane in the middle of a blizzard, dive mari clouds ke through, and that's how my academic journey started. Purdue, of course, is engineering. engineering all the way, the world's largest electrical engineering institution, and just worked my way through there. I was a product of FSC from Pakistan, but certainly had absolutely no issue with their math or physics or anything of the sort. And I graduated top of the class at Purdue, and then just decided to stay because in my final semester I was offered a research assistantship. I liked the professor, and just carried on and went straight through for a PhD degree in electromagnetic wave diffraction. And then I had the opportunity to either go to GE labs or to the University of New Mexico, and I chose to go to New Mexico because that was also the home of the semiconductor industry. And that turned out very well because then my academic journey, uske andar it was about the application of my research to semiconductor processing. The chip banti hai, it's a hugely complex multi-stage process, and you're trying to make something smaller and smaller because that's how the transistor becomes faster. And of course, my ancient zamane ki baat kar raha hu, Pentium 1, Pentium 2, and all those kinds of things. But we then invented a new technique for ultra small dimensional measurement using non-destructive techniques, so just shining laser beams, looking at the formation of these structures as they are forming, and sort of that was the academic journey and research. And then I got involved with the GIK. In a sabbatical year, I came back and जितने भी लोग बाहर होते हैं ना, उनसे जब आप मिलते हैं तो सारे पाकिस्तानी इकट्ठे होकर एक ही सवाल पूछते हैं, अच्छा वापस कब जा रहे हैं तुम्हें? मतलब आई वाज सो सिक ऑफ दैट क्वेश्चन कि यार जाना है तो जाओ, otherwise America is a fantastic place that you can grow and excel to any extent possible, but stop dithering around. But then there's this, and मैंने कहा I will go if there is a phenomenal opportunity, and then the opportunity came, एक नया engineering institute to be part of the formation team to help establish it, and we came back to Topi in Swabi. It's for those of you जो आप नहीं जानते हैं geography पाकिस्तान की, so it's just on the other side of Tarbela Dam की दूसरी, you cross the Indus River, it's on the other side, and then from there the journey into Higher Education Commission, Dr. Atase Mulaqat hui, and I got involved with the reform process of higher education, and then actually joined and became a part of the higher education during when it was established. So at the very, very early stages, and then led its journey over the next 8-10 years to reform higher education in Pakistan, and then LUMS, and then here. So that's sort of the journey.
So Dr. Saab, I think you brought up a couple of points which would really be interesting to dilate upon. थोड़ा सा अगर आप इजाजत दीजिए, आपने mashallah, post PhD, you went into industry, and perhaps जब हम high tech सोचते हैं, हम ज़्यादा tech सोचते हैं आजकल, which is more software application oriented, but you truly went high tech in the hardware industry, semiconductor industry. आपने industry में काम किया, industry में काम करने के बाद you made a switch to hardcore academia, and then from academia when you went into academic policy orientation, which would be very interesting to dilate upon from the point of view कि आपने क्या देखा, having, let's say, been a part of academia from the receiving end, I mean at the PhD, and obviously आप research भी करते हैं, आप पढ़ाते भी होंगे, पढ़ते भी हैं. What did you find as some key differences in mindset of academia in the US versus Pakistan? And number two, having transitioned not as a pure academic, but transition from industry to academia.
Let me clarify that a little bit. थोड़ा सा वो उल्टा हो गया. I actually, after my PhD, joined the University of New Mexico. So I was an assistant professor. I was a pure academic in that sense. Lekin at the university, there was a Center for High Technology Materials, which had a much more applied bent to it, and worked with a consortium of semiconductor manufacturers. So normally, I taught classes, I was involved with research, but the research was actually very tightly aligned with industry. और वहाँ पे सबसे पहला जो शौक आपको मिलता है, and I remember distinctly, again I will be sort of telling my age कि हम उस ज़माने में transparencies इस्तेमाल करते थे, overhead projector होता था, and so जब हम industry के साथ काम करते थे, so they used to say जो पिछले साल आपने ट्रांसपेरेंसी लगाई है, चाहे उस पे कॉफी स्टेन्स हैं कि नहीं, आप वो लगाएं, आपने कहा था कि आपने ये करना है, आपने किया कि नहीं किया, और वो ज्यादा टाइम दाएं बाएं नहीं करते थे. It was just yes, no, it was a very binary. So you understood the urgency of time. और semiconductor industry में you are talking about phenomenal changes, very, very fast, very tight time schedule. So उस तरह से working with industry helped understand that mindset. And then इस तरह हुआ कि जो हमारी research थी, I teamed up with my partner Bob McNeil. I was actually a theoretician, he was the experimentalist. We together with our students built a machine for this purpose, and then created a company, and then worked with industry on commercializing that technology. So that was my introduction to entrepreneurship, working with industry, working in industry. And जब मैं पाकिस्तान भी वापस आ गया था, तो summers में वापस चला जाता था, and I used to work with the industry. So पहले academia था, फिर industry था, फिर वापस academia हो गया. और पाकिस्तान में when I was establishing the university, so he naturally got involved much more with higher education policy related issues. I was the dean of the faculty of electronics, and so that sort of transition started the journey ke ab higher education policy or strategy or management ki taraf sort of direction hogi, and then HEC.
Got it. So then perhaps I can rephrase my question कि आपने वहाँ पे अमेरिका में बहुत applied research की, and you were tightly aligned with the industrial world in order to get commercialization output from research, which generally by and large in Pakistan has not been the case. We seem to do research for the sake of research, for the sake of publishing more so than commercialization. Uske bare mein, if we can draw parallels, the research application and applicability between there's a US education institution versus Pakistan, and then setting up really a center of excellence. GIKI today is known probably as the at the top of the pile as far as engineering schools are concerned, universities are concerned here in Pakistan. But help us draw some parallels. What did you see? What was good? What was bad? What needs improvement? And how soon can we get to anywhere close to, let's say, the North American universities?
Okay, well, पाकिस्तान में एक बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग डिलेमा है. अगर आप कटिंग एज रिसर्च करते हैं तो उसका वाकई पाकिस्तान के अंदर जो एप्लीकेशन है, it depends actually on the field. A lot of fields you don't have direct application, but there are many fields जहाँ पे है आपकी direct application. And so you want to be the best in the world. You want to be talking about, with your peers in the world, and चाहे कोरिया का researcher हो, French researcher हो, then you have to be talking about cutting edge problems. So cutting edge problems जो होते हैं वो cutting edge industry को ही ज़्यादा suit करते हैं. But then there is also pure theoretical research. I started out my journey talking about a problem जिसका मतलब वहमो गुमान भी नहीं था कि ये इसकी application इस तरफ होगी. I was dealing with initially plasma and controlling plasma, shaping it, creating the types of structures that would change the characteristics of high power electromagnetic waves. And then करते करते actually ख्याल आया by being at that right place at the right time that semiconductor industry में इसकी possible application हो सकती है. So हमारे जो researchers होते हैं पाकिस्तान में वो जब PhD कर रहे होते हैं, they're working cutting edge. जब वो यहाँ आते हैं, so then they continue with that, and then they are looking to see कि जी अब who will fund their work and where will it be applied. और उधर industry हमारी पीछे, because they are many time looking at turnkey solutions, पूरा का पूरा unit उठा के लेके आए हुए होते हैं. अब उधर मैं काम करता था not with the Intel plant. Albuquerque में Intel की manufacturing होती थी. वो manufacturing में तो किसी researcher को हाथ नहीं लगाने देते. Manufacturing से पीछे दो stages होती हैं. एक होती है just one stage before manufacturing. एक होती है जो उनकी research जहाँ पे ideas test हो रहे होते हैं. So we used to work with Santa Clara कि जहाँ पे आप नई चीजें explore कर रहे हैं और let's say Bell Labs के साथ काम कर रहे हैं, which कि 5, 6, 7 साल के बाद वो अप्लाई होंगे. So वो एक पूरा एक इकोसिस्टम एस्टैब्लिश्ड है जो कि हमारे पास कई मोस्ट इंडस्ट्रीज में नहीं है, कई में है ये. इसलिए सॉफ्टवेयर वगैरह ज्यादा आसान हो जाती है because there your industry, in a sense your industry is within the domain of the computer and it can be high tech anywhere in the world. Sure. And then there can be some of the other industries जहाँ पे apply हो सकती है. So that is where the problem is. And हर एक आदमी applied नहीं होता. I am not an applied person. I teamed up with a person who is very applied, and then it turned out that I could do the theoretical formulations and solutions, and they could work with that. So it's also the question of formation of teams. एक बड़ा ecosystem हो जहाँ पे मुख्तलिफ लोग मिलके then एक issue को tackle करें. दूसरा ये कि वहाँ पे government बहुत supportive होती है कि they take large complex problems and then break it up, and then lots of researchers can apply for research and do work on that. So I would give an example. Let's say कि अगर हम पाकिस्तान में electric vehicle industry को promote करना चाहते हैं. Now that's a very practical thing. Now उस industry के अंदर there's mechanical parts, there is the chemical part, there's the battery part of it. Then actually some people just call a Tesla car a software. It's basically high huge screens, all the autopilot things, all the electronics that is required. We could have an ambition, and this is where the national ambitions could come in. Kabhi karna kya chahte ho? And if you could take the different software engineers in the country, the mechanical engineers in the country, the material scientists on the panels, the chemists, etc., or wo phir together, they could talk about the creation of a solution of an electric vehicle for Pakistani roads and for Pakistani environment. So those are possible, but uske liye ek vision chahiye.
Correct. So, Dr. Saab, given what you know, and mashallah, with your very varied educational as well as professional background in centers of higher education, again, I would say North America probably being as cutting edge as it gets. अगर थोड़ा सा parallel draw कर सके on where you are currently in Kyrgyzstan versus Pakistan, without naming any names of how have you seen this flavor in Central Asia, for example? How are things better, and what could we do, what we know now, where we stand in Pakistan now, both from your side as having viewed it from a policy level, as well as being within the system of heading up a fairly premier institution in Pakistan? What would be a few steps that you would take if you were to be at the reins of a private sector university today, both academically and from a research perspective, and most importantly from a practical perspective? We're 200 plus million people here in Pakistan. हम इतने graduates माशाल्लाह produce करते हैं. Where are we going wrong, and what are we doing right? Many questions in one.
Right. So currently I'm at the University of Central Asia. It's a very, very unique institution. It's a second university project of the Aga Khan Development Network. You're all aware of Aga Khan University. That was the first university. And this is very unique because it belongs to 3 countries, and it's in Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, and Tajikistan. Just like map ke upar dekhen, to just go north. पाकिस्तान के ऊपर ताजिकिस्तान आता है, ताजिकिस्तान के ऊपर किर्गिस्तान आता है, और किर्गिस्तान के ऊपर और sort of towards the west Kazakhstan आता है. And this was His Highness the Aga Khan signing an agreement with the heads of presidents of all these 3 countries to create a cutting edge institution in this part of the world to serve the people of the communities in this region, but especially the high mountain communities. So, जो हमारे campuses हैं, they are located in the mountain areas. Pakistan के लिए Karakoram is in the north. Kyrgyzstan के लिए the Tian Shan mountain range, which is in the south. So it is like ये कि अब दूसरी side पे हम हैं. Similarly for Tajikistan. And looking at these deprived regions of the world and seeing how a world-class institution can be built to serve the community. So it also has a very applied bent to it. And we are daily facing this dilemma of what is the mix of high-tech research and high-tech development. Because एक research होती है, एक development होती है. And you can't say one is good and the other is bad. And it's also a very personal choice about how we work it. But we struggle with these issues and deal with them on a daily manner. यही चीज पाकिस्तान में है, because अगर आप उथल में एक लासबेला यूनिवर्सिटी है, so उधर आप किस तरफ जाएंगे? हाईटेक रिसर्च की तरफ जाएंगे कि एप्लीकेशंस की तरफ जाएंगे? एप्लीकेशंस अच्छी हैं कि बुरी हैं? एंड हमने पाकिस्तान में एक ही फ्लेवर बना दिया यूनिवर्सिटी का कि यूनिवर्सिटी एक ही चीज होती है, पर यूनिवर्सिटी एक चीज नहीं होती है. इन यूरोप एंड स्पेशली there are divided into 2 parts mainly, and then there are many other parts. There is a University of Applied Sciences with a lot more application oriented bent. That is the heart that actually drives Daimler-Benz, for example, or Porsche or Volkswagen. they have an integral relationship, and for them application is not a dirty word. And then there are the universities of pure sciences or arts or humanities, etc. And in Pakistan हमारी बदकिस्मती है कि हमारा जो एजुकेशन सिस्टम है वो वन डायमेंशनल है. वो सारा का सारा शुरू तो हुआ था सिर्फ साइंस, इंजीनियरिंग एंड मेडिसिन से, उसके बाद ऐड हुआ साइंस, ऐड हुआ ह्यूमैनिटी, बट वी लॉस्ट द एंटायर स्ट्रीम ऑफ प्रैक्टिकल एजुकेशन, वोकेशनल एजुकेशन. एंड द वोकेशनल एजुकेशन सिर्फ ये नहीं होती है कि इट इज एट लोअर लेवल, it goes up all the way. And that's why I was involved with this new experiment in Pakistan of bringing in the Austrian model of what is called a Fachhochschule in Haripur, which is much more applied. So you are just as high tech, but now मतलब एक तो ये ना कि किसी ने CNC machine भी तो डिजाइन करनी होती.
Sure.
After all, it's not just that. Who designs the robots? Who designs the world's next level of manufacturing units or chemical plants or all of the application-oriented matters? And it is not all about writing a research paper that is published in Science or Nature or something like that. That's very prestigious, it's very good, but you can also have patents, and you can also talk about a new insulin delivery system or whatever the case that you could be working on. तो हमें पाकिस्तान में हायर एजुकेशन को ब्रॉडन करना है और सबको लेके आए. इट्स नॉट इट्स ये एक वो रैंकिंग नहीं है कि 1 2 3 तो आप सारे फिर इसमें बहुत फ्लेवर्स हैं. एंड इट इज द डाइवर्सिटी दैट मेक्स इट सो ब्यूटीफुल एंड इंटरेस्टिंग दैट वी नीड टू ब्रिंग इन.
वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग. एंड आपने बिल्कुल सही कहा कि हमारी मोस्ट ऑफ द केसेस में सो फार बहुत प्रोफेशनल एजुकेशन की तरफ स्क्यूड एप्लीकेशन है. ऑफ कोर्स इंजीनियरिंग स्कूल्स और मेडिकल स्कूल एंड सो फोर्थ. थोड़ा सा इस पे गाइड कीजिए डॉक्टर साहब के in the North American system, the US system in particular, the social sciences, the liberal arts are something which are very necessary part of the social uplift, society का एक fabric develop करने के लिए. Whereas over here, we seem to be very skewed towards highly professional education, which of course suits the purpose, is very employable, employability factor is high. वो उसको कैसे bake in किया जाए? How to train leaders, how to open minds. A university is not just studying for the sake of getting employment, it's also a broader social good. How do we bake that in? And during your time at the HEC, I know recently undergraduate policy आई है, general education की बहुत सारी requirements आ गई हैं, but we don't seem in our system, our education system, to give enough importance to the breadth, to open our minds to what the social sciences and liberal arts can get. आपकी क्या thoughts हैं इस पे?
देखिए, the development of a human being, of a person, is much more than the solving of complicated mathematical equation in circular waveguides or whatever one is working on. And understanding who one is, understanding poetry, understanding your history, understanding your literature is absolutely integral to the development of the person. और यहाँ पे मेरे ख्याल में, and this is some thing that I have been feeling for quite a while, ये जो हमारी de facto language policy है, I think this serves as a huge barrier. As a मुल्क हमारी बहुत सारी languages हैं. ज़्यादा मतलब उर्दू है, Punjabi is a lot older than Urdu. Then we have Sindhi and Brahui and Pashto and so many other varied languages. और हमने consciously educated को equate कर दिया कि अंग्रेजी अच्छा. और उससे basically हमने अपनी तमाम सकाफत और जो अदब है उसको बंद कर दिया. So आपने बुल्ले शाह नहीं पढ़ा, आपने बाबा फरीद नहीं पढ़ा, आपने अपनी जो क्या कहते हैं पोइट्री है उसको समझा नहीं. एंड अब तो यू नो हाउ मेनी ऑफ द एजुकेटेड sort of elite of Pakistan send their children कि वो FA FSC करें. वो नहीं कर सकते हैं. they can't वो उर्दू जो है FSC लेवल की जो हमने की हुई है वो तो पूरी की पूरी अपस्ट्रीम जो है वो नहीं कर सकते. सो ना आप अंग्रेजी के ऊपर वो उस किस्म की मतलब मे भी आपको महारत आ जाती है, लेकिन आपका जो ताल्लुक है अपनी जमीन के साथ और अपनी हिस्ट्री के साथ वो खत्म हो जाता है. And that has caused huge identity issues with us. हम हैं कौन? जिस तरह बुल्ले शाह कहते हैं ना, बुलिया की जाना मैं कौन, वो एक सवाल है जो कि हम अब कर रहे हैं और हमें करना भी चाहिए. सो उसके अंदर बहुत काम की जरूरत है. मतलब अगर नॉर्वे में नॉर्वेजियन में पढ़ते हैं और मलेशिया में मलेशियन में पढ़ते हैं और किर्गिस्तान में किर्गिज में पढ़ते हैं और दे आर प्राउड ऑफ इट, और तो हमें क्या जरूरत है कि हम जो है while keeping English, it's a language, मतलब हम it's a language of expression. हम क्यों नहीं उर्दू में उर्दू को तवज्जो देते हैं, उसको आगे लेके चलते हैं. And other issues, that is one aspect of things.
Right. Interesting. And लेकिन आपने अभी कुछ ममालिक के नाम लिए, because my next question kind of is along the viewpoint के पाकिस्तान की higher education institutions and the, let's say, the pedagogy we have chosen, the curriculums perhaps a little outdated that we have chosen. Is this a regional issue that we are having? Yeah, is this purely a national issue that we are having? And how do we compare in the region? You're kind of in the same ballpark region. Help us help compare what's happening, where other people have gone, and how can we catch up? हमारे पास luxury of time नहीं है दुनिया में. The world is moving on very fast. What are some of the steps that can be taken, and what have you seen as some of the positives that could be taken out very quickly?
पाकिस्तान में मैंने देखा कि हम अपने आप को मारने में बहुत महारत रखते हैं और हम अपने आप को हर वक्त नीचे कर रहे होते हैं. And we don't recognize and realize the phenomenal talent that we actually have in our country. तो हमारा यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ सवात का जो ग्रेजुएट है वो लाहौर और कराची में आएगा और किसी इंडस्ट्री लीडर से बात करेगा या हम लोगों से बात करेगा तो वो कहेंगे नहीं ये तो मतलब ये गांव से आया हुआ है. And yet that person will have the skill to be admitted to programs into top universities of Korea or whatever, do phenomenally well. अंग्रेजी में उसकी accent रहेगा लेकिन उसका काम जो होगा वो cutting edge और world class होगा. So very recently I talked to a top artificial intelligence professor, and he was reviewing Pakistan's AI position in the world, and he said, I'm astounded, हमारे curriculum में कोई खराबी नहीं है. Do you know कि Pakistan engineering में we are signatories to the Washington Accord? Our engineers are treated at same par as you graduate from Purdue and you graduate from UET Lahore. They are both signatories to the Washington Accord. ना curriculum में कोई ऐसी issue है. Why is it कि मतलब हमारे जो लोग हैं they are doing so phenomenally well all over in the world? हाँ, critical thinking के अंदर there is a problem, and that is also related to humanities and social science. क्योंकि मेरा जो अपना ख्याल है कि ये जो आज़ाद ख्याली होती है और जो क्रिटिकल थिंक जो एक चीज़ होती है उससे फिर ये जो बच्चे हैं फिर वो सवाल जो है वो बड़ा मुश्किल पूछते हैं. Then they will look at the country and they will look at what is going on. आज ही अगर हम देख लें कि मतलब whatever legal issues that are being raised or what is going on, they will ask tough questions. और उस questions से जो है ना, the leadership should be afraid, because ये जो youth की power है और जो उसका दिमाग है, which is actually the energy that could power this country, it could rocket it ahead. उसी सोच के ऊपर ये clamps लगाना चाहते हैं. So I don't find Pakistani academia backwards when it is compared at the world level. America has a per capita income of $60,000. हमारी मतलब $2,500 के ऊपर है. So let's just be realistic in that. लेकिन मतलब हमारी यूनिवर्सिटीज और जो रिसर्च वर्क है और जो काम है वो बहुत सारे ममालिक का मुकाबला करते हैं. मौका तो दें, मौका नहीं देते ना. मतलब अपने आप को कही जाते हैं कि बुरे नहीं हैं. They are problems, fix them. That's okay. It's not a big deal to fix them, but recognize the genius and the talent that we have.
बिल्कुल ठीक. Dr. Saab, let's switch gears and on a more positive stance कि माशाल्लाह जिस तरह Lums Entrepreneurship Center की आपने माशाल्लाह अब बानी है उसके, it's produced, and now what has become NIC Lahore has produced some great results. And Pakistan, ठीक है, in comparison to let's say some other regional countries, we may not figure much, लेकिन we've had a tremendous exponential explosion in the amount of funding coming in. Over $500 million crossed in startups, young people जिनके ideas में बाहर से tried and tested angel investors ने and venture capitalists ने, again some big names have invested. इस चीज को हम further propel on a मजीद exponential base किस तरह कर सकते हैं with your experience, again with your exposure also, not just internationally much across the pond, but regionally, how can we really fast forward and build upon this great foundation that has been built?
Well, यहाँ पे मैं एक बिल्कुल उल्टी चीज कहूँगा, और वो ये कि अगर आपने entrepreneurship को succeed कराना है तो keep it away from academics. Entrepreneurship जो है वो एक और चीज है. वो एक creative energy है जिसको एक outlet चाहिए और एक opportunity चाहिए जिसके अंदर there is a high chance of failure, और जहाँ पे failure होता है हम उसको खूब celebrate करते हैं कि we figured out 99 ways of not doing the light bulb, but we will damn well figure out that one way that it does actually work. ये बहुत applied चीज होती है, and there are people who have that nuance and that understanding and that energy. So I would say that you make entrepreneurship center and you find these creative geniuses that can lead that. ये एक अलग community है. You have now so many successful Pakistani startups. इन्हीं को involve करें, यही दूसरे अपनी community को लेके आएंगे. And it doesn't really matter कि वो jewelry design कर रहे हैं या जिस तरह हमने शुरू में किया था कि वो मारो तंदूर था या water filter system उन्होंने बनाया या जो कुछ मर्जी बनाया. The point is कि you are putting your trust and putting your faith in the young people. और आप एक basically एक energy से चलते हैं which they are just generating. ना उनको कोई इतने को पैसे की जरूरत है. They need support. They need proper guidance in terms of the tools that they may use, but guidance in the sense कि उनको बस आप दिखा दें कि यहाँ पे चीज मिल जाती है, and they will take it and run with this. मुझे हमेशा ख्याल आता है डॉक्टर रऊफ मरहूम हमारे रेक्टर थे GIK इंस्टीट्यूट के, और वो ये कहते थे ये घोड़ा और ये घोड़े का मैदान, उसको भागने दो. And that is an antithesis to the normal Pakistani thing कि हम कंट्रोल करना, हमने कंट्रोल करना. यहाँ पे कुछ कंट्रोल नहीं होता. Entrepreneurship means you are letting go of control. कुछ पता नहीं किस डायरेक्शन में ये रॉकेट जाएगा, लेकिन जाएगा सही. And that is the energy that we are seeing now exploding in Pakistan, because this youth has phenomenal talent. The opportunity is there, and and you're seeing the results. And I think that this is just the very tiny beginning of what you will see in the future.
बिल्कुल सही कह रहे हैं डॉक्टर साहब. I will 100% concur with you. And in fact, आपने ये कंट्रोल वाली बात की. I think you're right कि आपने एक सेफ जोन उनको देना है to play in that sandbox perhaps. क्योंकि अक्सर लोग जिनकी हमारे साथ इंटरेक्शन होती है वो कहते हैं कि look at how resilient and versatile your people are, कि the infrastructure and the system doesn't necessarily support them. Imagine if you can create a little microcosm जिसके अंदर वो in a safe zone अपने जहन को खोल के अप्लाई कर सकें and really propel themselves, number one. And number two, I think perhaps I think every cloud has a silver lining वाली बात कि कोविड की वजह से I think it's levelized the global playing field which is now available, because we have transcended boundaries. Remote work has been adapted to any international level. It's become a reality here in Pakistan as well. और जिस नौयत से आप आज approach कर सकते हैं a client sitting anywhere in the world, having a set of, whether it be development work, coding, software, hardware, whatever the case it may be, there's a phenomenal opportunity, I think, which is waiting to happen, with thanks to the microcosm which has been created, and the trailblazers who are there as entrepreneurs in Pakistan, and then of course being transplanted into global success stories. So Dr. Saab, we are almost at the end of time. Agar aap thoda sa, we can hit upon our last question, that sitting where you are and sitting in the various leadership positions that you have, from all perspective, professionally, in 2 or 3 minutes, what would you advise our students at Noor International University, and of course other students who are listening, any words of wisdom that you can impart upon them as they embark on this journey of academics, and then of course the journey for the rest of their lives, their professional careers?
Well, what I would say is that the most important thing is belief in yourself, that these young people should get some small idea of how valuable they are, how important they are, how unique their talents are, and what they have to offer to the world. रोज हम कोई मतलब ऐसी स्टोरी सुनते हैं या ऊपर से मतलब हमें कहा जाता है कि ये गलत है, पाकिस्तान का ये गलत है, ये आप खराब कर रहे हैं, आपने पढ़ा नहीं है सही, आप स्कूल में ये था. लेकिन बात ये है कि you Pakistanis who have made it to university, who have gone through the programs over there, you better believe and understand how utterly brilliant and good you are and what you have to offer to the world. And आप किसी चीज की फिक्र ना करें कि ये नहीं हो सकता है. If you think in your mind कि ये आपने ट्राई करना है और ये possibility है, go ahead and do that. Believe in yourself, find others who are like you, and absolutely the sky is the limit as far as what can be achieved. I have absolute and full faith in the young people of Pakistan.
Beautifully said, Dr. Saab. और आपने ये जो बात किया, I think this is a very pertinent point कि जी, those who are already let's say in university are better. They're better than tens of millions of people here in Pakistan. Already उनके हाथ में एक opportunity इतनी ज़्यादा है. They bought the ticket, to the race, and making it to that race in itself is a huge opportunity for them. So ये आप सही कह रहे हैं कि if they believe in themselves, they can really make it count.
Only have they bought the ticket. I mean, this world of knowledge that is open through the internet, it's absolutely and utterly endless. You are only limited by your own self here. क्या चीज है, कौन सी knowledge है जो आप नहीं acquire कर सकते हैं, क्या चीज है जो आप नहीं test कर सकते हैं. So this is your world. Go ahead, grab the opportunities.
Thank you, Dr. Saab. Very well said. And with that, we are almost at time. मैं आपको बहुत मशकूर हूँ कि आपने हमारे साथ time निकाला to come and talk to us and to our students, to our faculty, जो हमारी audience है, मैं उनको भी thank करना चाहूँगा. And Dr. Saab, we would love to invite you, inshallah, when you're back in Pakistan. I know आप आते रहते हैं. Next time आप आएंगे. COVID is almost behind us, at least here in Pakistan. Fingers crossed, hopefully, inshallah. But we would love to welcome you on campus and have a face-to-face mentorship session or even just an informational overview with you, inshallah, on campus for our students.
Thank you, Salam, for inviting me. It's been a real pleasure. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, sir. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.